I texted my girlfriend go find them after her backup plan calendar with Bram. So I moved out, pulled the shared calendar proof, froze the $2,400 Loft deposit transfer, found the signed Loft lease with Bram, and faced her in mediation, and went no contact after she got put on leave. The calendar entry was the first thing that felt wrong. It sat on our shared schedule like a bruise you pretend not to see. My mug left a dark ring on the counter, and the apartment smelled like toasted bread and the citrus cleaner Annalise loved. I told myself it was probably work. We lived in a duplex apartment in Dryden, New York, the kind with thin walls and a stubborn radiator that clicked all night. There was always a line of shoes by the door, a little bowl for keys, and a soft blanket on the couch that held the smell of her shampoo. We had been living together 10 months, dating 2 years, and we were supposed to renew the lease by Monday. The landlord wanted an answer and a bigger deposit, no delays. That morning we argued about something small that was really something big. She wanted a newer place in Ithaca, and she wanted it fast, like if we moved the rooms would fix the air between us. I wanted to wait until my work shift bid settled because I was up for a lead role at the plant. She stared at me like I was wasting her time. Annalise was 38 and she worked as the membership director at the Cayuga Arts Center. She was the kind of person who could talk to donors with a smile and then turn around and correct you with a voice that never shook. She liked control because control made her feel safe. That morning her calm was sharp. I asked, "Are you even happy here with me?" She did not blink. She said, "If I had better options, I wouldn't be here." I nodded like I accepted the weather report. I finished my coffee, rinsed the mug, and left for work like normal. When someone tells you you are a placeholder, the argument is already over. I work at the Dryden water treatment plant. I watch gauges, take samples, and make sure the town does not drink dirt and metal. I spend my days running the clarity test on water that looks clean until you prove it is. The pumps hum like a giant heartbeat, and the air always has a faint bite of chlorine. That morning, I kept my face steady at my station. I logged my readings, walked the catwalk, and checked the filter screens for buildup. Inside, my head was loud. I told myself one thing: I will run the clarity test on my life too. Around lunch, my phone lit up with a reminder from our shared calendar. It was the same entry I saw at home, the one that made my stomach turn. Coffee, Bram, 715 Blackbird Cafe. Bram was not a coworker of mine. Bram Kestrel was the exhibit fabricator Annalise always mentioned when she talked about new installations at the Arts Center. He built walls that did not exist yet and made them look permanent like magic with a toolbox. I did not text her about it. I did not call. If you are ever in this spot, here is a simple rule that helps. Do not beg for respect. Make a plan while your hands are still steady. After my shift, I went back to the apartment and acted normal. I fed the sourdough starter she named like it was a pet. I folded the blanket the same way she liked, corner tucked. I took one slow look at the photos on the wall and felt my chest go quiet. I packed only what was mine. I used 2 old duffel bags and a stack of moving boxes from the closet. I did not take the couch, the plates, or anything that would make this a fight about objects. I took my documents, my clothes, my tools, and the one framed photo of my father that mattered to me. I left my key on the counter. I did not leave a note because notes invite debate. When I walked out, I looked back once and felt a clean snap inside me. At 906 that night, my phone started buzzing. Then it did not stop. Annalise called 3 times, then sent a single message. "Where are you?" 2 minutes later, another. "This is childish." I waited until the screen went dark, then I sent one text back. "Go find them." That was all, no speech, no explanation. If she had better options, she could go chase them without me paying the rent. I slept in a caretaker cabin on a maple farm outside Caroline. My coworker's uncle rented it cheap to plant staff during storms. The place smelled like wood smoke and damp earth, and the window glass rattled when the wind hit it. I laid my work jacket over a chair and listened to silence. The next morning I woke up before my alarm. My chest felt hollow, but my mind felt clear. I told myself, keep moving like water, do not freeze. Then my phone showed me the first receipt, and it was public. The Cayuga Arts Center posted photos from a Maker's Night on their public page. The location tag said South Hill Cider Mill. In one photo, Annalise leaned toward Bram, smiling in a way I had not seen in weeks. That was the location proof. Not a guess, not a rumor, not a friend whispering in my ear. A public photo, a public place, and her face looking free. I stared at it until my eyes burned. My hands shook, then I forced them still. I ran the clarity test again, slow and simple. She said she had better options, and she wasted no time walking toward one. By late afternoon, she showed up at my work gate. Visitors had to sign in, and she hated that kind of boundary. She stood in a neat coat with her hair perfect and her mouth set tight. She looked calm, but her calm was a blade. I met her outside because I did not want a scene in the control room. She said, "You left without talking like an adult." I asked, "Was Bram your better option?" She gave a small, cold laugh. "Don't be dramatic, Merrick. You heard one sentence in a fight and you ran." That was confrontation too. I pushed and she flipped it. I said, "You didn't say it by accident. You said it like you practiced it." She crossed her arms. "I was trying to motivate you. You've been stuck. You do the same thing every day and you think that's love." I felt the anger rise, then I swallowed it. She wanted a reaction because a reaction would make her the victim. I said, "You don't motivate someone by telling them they were your last pick." Her eyes narrowed. "So now you're punishing me." She glanced past me at the gate like she owned my choices. "Come home tonight and we can reset, and you can stop making me look like a monster." That line told me everything. She cared about the story more than the damage. I told her, "I'm not resetting anything," and I walked back inside. That night she texted again, softer, still controlling. "We have to answer the landlord. Don't sabotage our future." Then she wrote, "I can fix it if you just stop being stubborn." I did not reply. I ran the clarity test on the words and they failed. She was not sorry, she was managing. 2 days later, I opened our shared calendar on my own phone. We used it for bill dates and work events, and I had not removed myself yet because I was still paying my part until Monday. I expected to see rent reminders and museum events. Instead, I saw a string of entries that made my throat go dry. Coffee Bram. Walk through Bram studio. Dinner Bram, ask about Loft. One entry was titled, "Backup Plan, Keep Merrick Calm." That was the communication proof. It was not a screenshot from a stranger. It was a shared tool we both used, and she wrote it like I was a problem to manage. The calm in those words felt worse than yelling. If you need practical advice here, it is this. If a partner ever writes down a plan that treats you like an obstacle, believe the plan. People reveal themselves most when they think they are being efficient. I removed myself from the calendar that night. I also changed my direct deposit routing so my pay did not land in the joint account. I updated my emergency contact at work and took her name off the plant call list. None of it was revenge, it was basic safety. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a bank alert. It was from the joint savings account we used for the next place. The message said, "Transfer scheduled, 2400 memo Loft deposit." My breath caught. That money was half mine. That deposit was not for us. I called the bank and froze the transfer because both account holders could do that. The teller asked if everything was okay, and I said no. That was the money proof, loud and clean. She was trying to fund her better option with our future. Annalise called within 10 minutes, furious. Her calm was gone now. "Why did you block the transfer?" I said, "Because you labeled it Loft deposit and we are not getting a loft." She snapped, "Don't act like you own me." Then she added, "You're going to regret making me your enemy." I ended the call. I did not raise my voice, and that seemed to scare her more. The next day I went back to the apartment in daylight to get the rest of my tools. I texted first, simple and clear. I'm coming at 2 for my things. She replied, fine, like she was granting permission. The apartment looked staged when I walked in, like she had cleaned to erase me. The blanket was folded, the air smelled like lemon cleaner again, and the key bowl was empty. Annalise stood by the window with her arms crossed, watching me like a guard. While I carried my last box, I saw something sticking out of the printer tray. It was a packet of papers with signature blocks at the bottom. The top page read, Lease Application, Loft Unit 3B. 2 names were printed under applicants, Annalise Quad, Bram Kestrel. There were digital signature stamps dated 2 weeks before our argument. That was the killer receipt. A signed document sitting in plain sight, proving she was already moving on before she told me I was her fallback. The big twist hit me like cold water. She did not react in a fight. She followed a plan. I held the packet up. So this is why you said it. Her face tightened, but she stayed calm. Put that down, I asked. How long was I supposed to keep paying rent while you waited for your better option to sign? She took a step closer, voice low. You're snooping. I'm collecting my things, I said. This was in our printer. Her eyes flicked away for a second. Then she said, it's not what it looks like. That sentence is always the same, no matter the story. I put the papers back where I found them and finished carrying my box. I did not argue in the apartment because walls remember. That night, I met an older lawyer named Thatcher Winslow. He had a flat voice and calm eyes like he had seen every version of this. He told me to meet him at a 24-hour laundromat in Groton because it was lit, public, and no one cared who sat in the corner. The place smelled like detergent and hot metal, and the vending machine kept dropping the same stale crackers. Thatcher listened and nodded once. Then he said, you do not owe someone a warm exit when they wrote you as a backup. He gave short guidance, no long lecture. Close the joint account properly, put everything in writing, do not get pulled into phone fights. He tapped the table. And keep your proof, because people who plan love like a transaction will try to rewrite the ledger. We set a mediation session for Monday morning. It was at the County Dispute Center in Ithaca, a plain conference room with a ticking wall clock and a pitcher of water. The lease renewal deadline made it urgent, and Annalise wanted control of the timeline. I wanted a clean separation, nothing more. Annalise arrived first, composed, dressed like a board meeting. Bram was not there, and that told me he already smelled smoke. Thatcher sat beside me, calm as stone. This was confrontation 3, and it happened after proof. Annalise started smooth. Merrick is overreacting and dragging my reputation through mud. She looked at Thatcher like he was a referee. I said, I left because you told me I was here only because you lacked options. She shook her head. I never said that. That was deny. Thatcher did not move. I took a slow breath and slid a copy of the calendar entries across the table. I did not slam it. I placed it like a record. Annalise glanced down, then lifted her chin. Okay, fine, I said something harsh. That was minimize. It was a fight, and he's using one sentence to destroy everything. I kept my voice flat. It wasn't one sentence. It was a plan you wrote down. She leaned back, still cold, still controlling. I had to plan because he's fragile, she pointed at me. If I don't manage his moods, he shuts down. Thatcher's eyes stayed on her like a camera. I slid the bank alert printout next, the one that showed the transfer. Her nostrils flared. She exhaled hard. Yes, I scheduled a deposit. That was partial admit. I was looking at options because Merrick refuses to grow. Bram offered a place and I needed leverage. Leverage, I repeated. The word tasted bitter. Then her face softened and her eyes went glassy like she flipped into a new role. I was scared, she said, voice suddenly small. That was the emotional move. I'm 38 and I don't want to waste time and you make everything feel slow. I nodded once. If you were scared, you could have talked to me like a partner. I slid the Loft application copy onto the table. Instead, you signed a new life with someone else and kept me as a safety net. Annalise stared at the paper and her calm finally cracked. She did not cry, she went still. The clock ticked loud in the pause. Thatcher said, "Here is what will happen." His voice stayed even. "The lease will be ended or assigned and the savings will be split today." He looked at her. "And any attempt to move shared funds again will be documented." Annalise swallowed. "You're treating me like I'm some kind of criminal." I said, "No." I kept my eyes on her. "I'm treating you like someone who already chose." When we walked out, my phone buzzed with another notification. It was an email from the Cayuga Arts Center executive director, addressed to Annalise and copied to a board compliance address. The subject line was about donor list misuse and conflict of interest. I did not know the details yet, but the timing was not random. Later I learned the small twist. Bram had called the executive director himself after rumors started, because he did not want his name tied to a donor database or a messy triangle. He sent screenshots of Annalise's texts where she called me the stable one and said she just needed Bram to commit. He betrayed her to protect his own craft and his clean image. Annalise called me that night, voice shaking for the first time. They put me on leave. Bram threw me under the bus. I did not celebrate. I did not comfort her either. I said, "That's what happens when you treat people like options," and I ended the call. I moved my things out of the maple cabin and into a small rental in Trumansburg. It was quiet, and the landlord left a jar of homemade jam on the counter like a welcome sign. I took the lead operator test at the plant and passed. My supervisor shook my hand and said, "You earned it." Months went by. My life got simpler, not smaller. I ran the clarity test on my days and the water started coming back clean. Annalise tried to pull me back once, not with a text this time. A certified letter arrived at my new address, formal and stiff, asking to reopen discussion about reconciliation and shared property. It felt like a contract offer for a job I already quit. I did not reply. A year later, on a bright Saturday in early fall, I met Nomi Farrow at a volunteer cleanup along Fall Creek. She was 36 and taught astronomy at the community college, and she laughed like she wasn't keeping score. We talked while hauling trash bags, then we got hot chocolate after, and nothing about it felt like a test. On our third date, we walked through a quiet park in Aurora by the lake, leaves crunching under our shoes. She asked me what I did for work, and I told her the plain truth. I make sure the water is safe. She smiled and said, "That matters." No drama, no ranking, no threats. Just respect, simple as a clean glass. Sometimes I still think about that morning and the coffee and the way Annalise said the line without blinking. I do not miss her, I miss who I thought she was. The difference is important. I learned something basic and hard. Love cannot live where you have to audition. If the clarity test fails, you stop drinking from that source. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel.